Hi everyone! In this video we will factor a trinomial with a equals 1. Factor z squared plus 57z plus 56. When it says factor the trinomial with a equal 1, this comes from the standard or the general form, which goes as follows: a x squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are the coefficients in front of the term with the x squared, and then x, and then the term with no x in descending order. So our a here is the coefficient in front of the z squared. Since there's nothing here, we know there's an implied 1. To factor a trinomial with a equals 1, we'll take c and find all of the factors of c that will add or subtract together to give us the middle term of 57. So we'll come over here and we will write 56 and find all of the factors. Starting with the first one, we always start with 1, and 1 goes into 56 times. This is also even, so it's divisible by 2, and it's 2 times 28. And then the next, it's not divisible by 3, but it is by 4. So we have 4 and 14. It's not divisible by 5. It doesn't end in a 0 or a 5. Because it's not divisible by 3, it is also not divisible by 6. And yes, it's divisible by 7. 7 times 8 is 56. And that's it. So we've reached the end, because if we were to go one more number, it would be 8, which is going up the other side. So now we look at the sign of the last term, and it's an addition sign. So that means that the two signs must match of the term, or of the factors. And then we look at the middle term, and it's addition. So that tells us what those signs are. So if this is a positive number, then our factors will have the same sign. If it is a negative number, our factors will be different signs. And then we look to the middle sign, and if this is also, and this tells us what the two same signs will be. So this tells what the same signs will be. And so, because it's positive and positive, we can fill this in with addition signs. They will both be positive. And now we're going to find a combination of these that will give us the middle number. So we're going to start with adding, and I can see that when I add 56 and 1, we get a positive 57. So these are the terms that we will use, or the factors that we will use to replace our 57 and then factor by grouping. So we'll replace the 57. So we have z squared plus, we'll have our 56 and our positive 1. So I'm going to put plus, and we could put the 1 here, but a 1 is always implied with a variable. So we're going to go ahead and just put the variable z, and I always cross my z's because they look like 2's. And then we're going to add the 56z. If you are more comfortable putting the 1 here, go ahead and do that, but that's up to you. And then the last will be adding 56. Now we factor by grouping. We group our first 2 and our last 2, and we factor out the greatest common factor. Now, some of you may have noticed, as you've been working through some of these, that when the trinomial has a equals 1, that the factors we use to group, to factor by grouping and then take the greatest common factor out actually give us the same numbers to our binomials. And that will work, but only when you have a equals 1. So we're going to continue going through factor by grouping, because when a doesn't equal 1, it doesn't work to have those factors there. So we're going to go through the process, and if you've already figured that little trick out, that's great. It will speed you up, but it doesn't work when a doesn't equal 1. So just as a tip on that one. So now that we're going to factor by grouping and take out the greatest common factor, we look at the first 2, and the only thing in common in it is a z. So we'll take the z out, and z squared divided by z leaves us z. And then z divided by z is 1, so we can put a 1 there, and you can see that if you put the 1. Then on the next 2, we're going to add, because they're both positive, and the greatest common factor is a positive 56. So we'll take that out, which leaves us just z. And positive 56 divided by positive 56 is 1. Now we have our next set of factor or terms. We have two larger terms, and we're going to again take out the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor of these is the binomial z plus 1. So we'll factor out z plus 1 from both terms, and that leaves us with z and plus 56. So now we know our next binomial is z plus 56. We've now completely factored our trinomial with a equals 1, and we're all done.